To share an assessment, it's really as simple as pressing the plus button here and then selecting assessments. Immediately, you're going to see your libraries, your shared libraries, and the folders that you've made, and you can just tap through and navigate to find the assessment you want. Here, I've got the one I've just created, and when we've chosen that assessment, we get a few different options as to how it should work when we share it with our students. The first option is instant feedback. That means when the students have completed a question and they press done, they're going to get the answer straight away, and the explanation will come up as well. The second option is called open navigation. This will let the students go forwards and backwards through the whole quiz and press done when they finish the whole thing, akin to using a paper test and flicking backwards and forwards to check your answers. And finally, we have teacher paced, where you can decide when it's time to move on to question 2, question 3, question 4, and you can control that from your Showbie account. That will stop your learners racing through the questions, or you can use it as a discussion point as you go. There are 3 different options here, and different ones will suit different activities and different classes, so you can choose. We then have some other options. For example, on the open navigation one and the instant feedback, we can shuffle the questions. That means that if you've got students sat next to each other, they won't get the same question at the same time. And likewise, we can also shuffle the answers on multiple choice quizzes. Then we have the option to enable feedback after the questions, and then we get options to either show or hide the final score, and to limit the quiz to 1 attempt or multiple attempts if we wanted to. There really are a ton of different combinations here of how the quizzes and assessments can work. I like the fact you can hide the final score as well, because it means that you as a teacher can share that if you want to, and it won't demoralise students if perhaps you're worried they may not do quite so well in the assessment. When you've chosen the settings you want, you can simply press launch, and that will appear in your whole class's Showbie account, just like this. Well, I say it will appear in your whole class's Showbie account, but just like anything else we can add to an assignment, we can actually customise who gets this quiz. Now, in real life, I would have done this before I added the assessment into Showbie. I would have tapped the sharing of everyone and changed it to sharing of no one, and then added students manually afterwards. But even now, I can tap on where it says shared with everyone here, and I can edit and then deselect students that don't get this particular assessment. Maybe we're doing 2 different groups, maybe we're doing different topics. Whatever it might be, you can then choose who gets which questions. So I'm going to unselect these 2 pupils, and it will remove from their assignment. And then I can add a second assessment into the same assignment for those 2 students. So I'll press the plus button again, I'm going to go back into my library and find the Survival on the Moon one this time. And when I deploy this, I can tap onto the people that are going to receive it, and I can make sure just Eliza and Andy are seeing this. This is such a good feature for differentiated learning, for scaffolding different pupils, and for making sure everyone is getting an assessment they can achieve on. And the fact you've got multiple assessments per assignment means that you can do an entry ticket and an exit ticket in one lesson. It means that you can assess at different points throughout the lesson, whatever you want. There are no limits to how you can use these tools. Okay, so now we've sent the assessment to our pupils, it's time to have a look at how it looks from the pupil side of things, and how we as the teacher can see data as it's coming in live. When a student goes into their assignment, they're going to see the assessment you sent appearing on the screen, just like this. The student can simply tap onto here, and it will open up that assessment right inside the Showbie app. And then they can begin answering the questions as easily as this. Now, depending on how you configured that assessment, the questions might be sequenced in a random way, or the answers might be mixed up, and of course they may or may not receive the explanations after each question, as well as that instant feedback. So depending on how you configured the assessment depends on how the student will receive it. But on my one, I get feedback after each question, just like this. And of course, I'm doing one student's account here, but in your class, all of your students can do this simultaneously. So let's jump back onto the teacher side of things, and we'll have a look at what that data looks like as it's coming in live, and then what we can do with it afterwards. So here on the teacher account, if I tap onto the assessment on this side of things, I'm going to get this nice grid, this heat map, if you like, of what's happening in that assessment. Now we've got some toggles here. We can show or hide names, we can show or hide the answers, and we can show and hide if it's correct or not. And I like the fact we have these options, because it means that we can share this data on the board of our class if we wanted to. We can hide the name so as not to embarrass any students, we can hide the results so students don't know if they're correct or incorrect, or we can show the results and hide the answers to kind of give students that bigger picture of which questions the whole class is struggling with, and which ones the whole class are doing well with. So for me as a teacher, having that option is really important there. Now this particular assignment is coming to an end, but what I'm going to do is tap on pause in the top corner. That means that any students who are currently working on it or who haven't started it yet won't be able to continue. So in a classroom environment, that means you can pause it, get everyone's attention, and then resume it when you're ready. So because we've paused the quiz, the heat map's not going to change in real time, but obviously when the assessment is active, that heat map is going to update and the colours are going to change as results are coming in live. At this point, I can also show you the question level analysis. If I tap onto a question number at the top here, it's going to open up that question in the quiz, and then I can see everyone's results underneath, just like this. And that means I can see straight away if there's a question that lots of students are getting wrong or struggling with, because I'll see all the red in that column, I can tap onto the number, I can see the question itself. And I can jump backwards and forwards between the questions here as well, and get a really clear insight into what's happening in my class.